So I'm a pretty big fan of the Sega Game Gear. I grew up with the Game Boy as a kid, and I love my Game Boy, but I always thought the Game Gear was really cool because of the color screen and the fact that it was backlit. But there was another reason that I always thought it was really cool, and even though I didn't have a Sega Game Gear when I was a kid, I did have a Sega Genesis, and I had a lot of Sega Genesis games. And a lot of times they would come with, not just the instruction booklet, but there would be like advertising pamphlets in here for other Sega products. And a lot of times, this one I think just talks specifically about the Game Gear, but a lot of times there would at least be a little bit of a blurb about the Game Gear in them. And one of the things that they always advertised, besides having a full color screen and everything, was this TV tuner accessory that you could get, and you could watch TV on your Sega Game Gear. And as a kid, I always thought that was the coolest thing ever. Later on down the road, when I was older, I did find a Sega Game Gear at Goodwill for a really good price. I think I paid like $8 for this, and I've had it for several years, and it works pretty good. Later on down the road, like a couple of years after I got this, I found the Sega TV tuner accessory, I think at a retro gaming convention, and it was really cheap because if you know how TV works, this thing really doesn't work anymore. This picks up analog over-the-air TV, and there are no more analog broadcasts in the United States. Everything is digital TV. A few years ago, I did a video on this channel where I actually did kind of get this thing to work again. You can see right here it's got an AV input, so you can also use this as like a pass-through to the Game Gear. You just have to have a little adapter that goes from this jack to then like the RCA, the yellow, red, white cables. And then you can connect other things to this to display on the screen and use the speakers. And so what I did is I took a digital TV tuner box, got the adapter and everything, and plugged it into this, and I got this to play television again. Unfortunately, it wasn't really portable because it involved a big digital tuner box that was like bigger than this Game Gear. This thing, obviously, the digital tuner box itself had to be plugged into a wall outlet. It had like a regular power cable connected to it. And then it also involved having an antenna, with an antenna cable coming off of it to like rabbit ear antennas to get this to pick up TV. So it definitely wasn't portable. However, I was poking around on Amazon not too long ago, and I found that those digital tuner boxes have gotten a lot smaller. And I was able to actually get this to play television and be portable. And how I did that was with this janky mess right here. This whole little box here is the digital tuner box. This was really cheap. I think it was like $18. And it doesn't run off of a wall outlet. It has, if I can find it in this mess of cables, it runs off of USB. It just has like I think that's micro USB. And, oh, no, that's actually, this is the infrared receiver for the remote. Here's the power cable. That's right, the power cable is, I think it's like a regular barrel connector, but then it ends in USB. So I got to thinking to myself, well, wait, if this will run off of like one of those power banks, like USB power banks, then that's all I would really need. This is more than portable. I mean, it's a mess with all these wires, but I was like, it should work. So I ended up ordering this, and then also the antenna was another issue. So this antenna did not come with this. It just has a regular antenna jack, and you're supposed to put rabbit ears on there. But I think this was $3 or $4. I found this antenna that screws right onto like the coaxial antenna jack on this, and then it's telescoping obviously. So I'm able to connect an antenna right to it, which if you look at that previous video, you'll see how big the antenna was that I had hooked up to it. This is much more portable. And I grabbed a really cheap USB power brick. So let me just hook this all together. Oh, I got to take the game out that was in there. Oh, backwards. So I'm just going to power it on. I don't think that... I think I need to clean the cartridge port on this. Yeah, there you go. if you try and use this today, that's all you get is TV static, which is kind of interesting to see in of itself, because when you watch a digital broadcast now, there is no such thing as TV static. Like, you either get reception or you don't, and your TV just defaults to, like, if you're not getting reception, like either a black or a blue screen or something. So it's kind of interesting just to see TV static. I think where's the tuning knob? Oh, you could switch between UHF and VHF, which doesn't matter anymore. There is a tuner. Am I just being an idiot and not seeing? Oh, there it's hidden there. So yeah, if you can actually see the static change as it's trying to find channels, but it's not going to find any. So let's turn that off. Now this is the adapter that I was talking about. So this fits into the jack on the Game Gear, and it goes to these the RCA red, yellow, white, and then these plug into the little digital tuner box. So I'll just plug this in there. And this is truly a mess of cables. Extend the antenna. I think that's kind of stable. Okay, I'm going to turn this on. And now we just get a blank screen because it's switched over to the AV port. And then I'm going to plug this into the power bank. And yeah, there we go. That's the box booting up. Now, the other thing that makes this kind of a janky pain in the ass to use is because it's not using the tuner in this, you can't use this to change channels. And there are no buttons. Uh-oh, I don't have that antenna screwed on tight enough, apparently. Doesn't really have buttons. So hold on one second. I gotta fix this. Yeah, this is definitely a second channel video, which, by the way, this is my second channel. If you're not familiar with the Retail Archaeology channel, that's my main channel. So feel free to check that out after you're done watching this if you want. Oh, it would probably also help if I didn't have this. There we go. Okay. So it's saying no signal right now. I don't know what channel this is on. You can barely read the text. This is a very low resolution screen on this thing. But if I take the remote, which you need to change channels, that's why this little IR sensor is important. We can scan through channels and maybe find one that it can pick up in here. Maybe not. I feel like that channel should work. I also can't tell how well this is coming across the camera, but you can see the little, like, no signal. It's, you know, the error message from the box saying it's not getting reception. Oops, maybe brighten that. Yeah, the screen is awful on this. Give me 1 second and I'm gonna fiddle with the antenna and see if we can get a signal. Maybe if I move it further away. Oh, it is not picking up any channels. This sucks. It was working upstairs. This also does work. It's not a big deal that it's not picking up. You can see that it is working, that it is passing this through here, you know, from the box to the tuner box. And this is portable technically. This is a lot more portable than what I had set up originally. I've tied the cables off to try and make things shorter, but yeah, this is something you could take somewhere technically. And I actually did that. I took this to a, oh wait, I did something and it's getting reception. Turn the volume down. But there's the picture. There it is, playing TV. That's funny that it started working just from moving that. That little antenna doesn't really work great indoors, I'm finding out, but it does work great outdoors. So like I said, I did take this to a park to kind of test out this whole setup and see how truly portable / how much of a pain in the butt it was to try and use. So let's go to the park and take a look at this thing in action portably. So here we are at a local city park, and I've brought my Game Gear with me, my TV tuner stick, my battery brick, my little remote there, and got it all hooked up, and it's actually working pretty great. It works a lot better outside than it does indoors. I've got it tuned in here to the local weather channel to hear some of that Weather Channel jazz music playing at the park. I always have a lot of fun making older electronics work again and do things that they technically shouldn't be able to do anymore. This was filmed in the middle of August in the Phoenix area, so it was really hot out. I was sweating my ass off out here. And honestly, this is all very impractical. I mean, yeah, it technically works, but obviously it would be much easier to just watch videos on your cell phone. That's what everybody does. But there's something about getting this old Game Gear to actually pick up TV broadcasts again that just really tickles me. Another side effect of it being really hot outside is there was really not a lot of other people at the park, so thankfully there wasn't anybody there to see this and be like, what the hell is this dude doing? But I don't care, man, whatever. Old electronics are neat. I think that's where I'm gonna wrap up this video, though, doing weird stuff with a mess of cables in a park. Hopefully you enjoy seeing old stuff work again as much as I do. I'm going to go ahead and leave you with some footage of the Game Gear just playing some more of that Weather Channel smooth jazz. As always, everyone, thanks for watching.